think every one of you being here is really a testament to your care and loyalty to Mario. And I appreciate many of you that traveled from various states surrounding the area, but I really thank you all for coming. If you have not had an opportunity to take a look at the wonderful pictures of Mario when he was slender and young, please take a moment to sign this board here. And for those of you that saw the wonderful gift that I gave Mario, thank you for not dying on March 1st. Although this looked like a memorial to you, it is actually, it is actually a retired service box that I've learned the hard way. So anyway, we're navigating through 24 years of service, so obviously cake and coffee will be served. Don't be afraid to charge your glasses if you need to, but there'll be various folks that'll be participating in this. So to begin, Mario, why did you join the Army service? I think his parents can kind of open the story, knowing that he started at and gave consent in 1998 for a 17-year-old son, the middle boy of three sons, to join the U.S. military. So I'm going to turn it over to his family to say a few words if there's anything that they have to offer. Mom?
Thank you for everybody being here for Mario. I have to say, I was not very happy when Mario wanted to join the Army. I didn't want to sign the papers, but my uncle said, let him go. That's what a man wants to do. So we did. And I have to say, Mario, I could not be more proud of you. I love you with all our heart. Daddy does. And it's nice to have your friends so I could find out what you actually do, since you never share any of it.
We're still trying to figure it out.
If you do anything at all, we're very proud of you, Mario. Tony?
Hold on, not the shake, just the glad it's over, you're retired.
Dad's a man of many words.
Oh, okay, we'll let you
Say something.
Huh?
Mario, we had somebody else who wanted to say
Luca,
something.
Do you want to say something?
Okay.
Come on, Luca.
Happy birthday.
And his godmother, Joey, his wonderful young brother, anything?
Yeah, she told me last night. She's like, "Do you want to say anything?" I'm like, "At least for the wedding, I was given ample notice to give a speech." So, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm really super proud of everything you did. I was there along the way, going to different graduation ceremonies, traveling to Nogales, Mexico with Kevin, I think. Were you there? Yeah, that was awesome. I still don't know what he does, really. But what was it? What was I going to say? Arizona. Oh, no, like, it was like, it sucked, like, having Mario gone all those years. I was like, felt like an only child. But it wasn't without its rewards. He left his Jeep home, and I got to make some seriously good memories in the Wrangler. Thanks for that. And I remember one thing Mario said to me that I actually got tattooed on my body was when I moved to chiropractic school, I was super terrified. I had no idea if I was making the right move. And he said, "Brother, Udentes Fortuna Juvat." It's something somebody told him in the Army. I don't know if it was one of you, but it stands for Fortune Favors the Bold. So I think Mario probably did the most bold thing you could probably do, and definitely panned out well for you. So I'm super proud of you.
Thank you for being my audio-visual
AV.
AV. Okay, so shortly after returning from basic training, Mario joins the Army, graduated at the lovely Garnet Valley High School along with Colin, received a scholarship to attend Valley Forge Military Academy. And so we answer Matt Capelli, who unfortunately couldn't be here, and Kevin McGowan, who flew all the way from LA to be here, his two oldest friends who probably can attest to his darkest adult secrets, and even at 41, all three continue to banter at each other on group text messages like they're 13-year-old boys. So, Kevin?
Yeah, Kevin! Hey, Joey. I really just came today to see... Oh. Thanks, AV Joey. I really didn't come to see Mayor. I came to see... I feel like I'm the surrogate child of you guys, so I really just came to see you guys, not Mario. The size of the retirement party is equal to your height. Short and small. Short and small. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. No, it is fitting that Mario found his way into intelligence from junior college, where he cheated off of Matt and I all the time. So, and I've been drinking all day. And actually yesterday, because that's all you were giving me. So, it's gonna keep going. It's like the first time I've been without kids in 3 years. So, there's so much to say. When I found out the parents and the kids were going to be here, I had to ratchet it back. Because Mario at Valley Forge took advantage of all of his power and would sneak girls in. And I was like, I don't know if I should tell the story about sneaking girls into the all-male military school. Thin and beautiful. I also was wondering if I should talk about when he crashed the Humvee and he had to wear the steering wheel as the necklace. Yeah. And I was like, man, how did he end up as like a super secret spy in the intelligence world when like, an oversight. Yes, a clear oversight. Mayor, everything over the years, I looked like I was 14 when I got to Valley Forge, and Mario hated me. That first month, I don't think we could like be in the same room together without getting into some kind of squabble. And then he found out that I wasn't going to be able to go home, and he's like, even though I don't like you, you should come over to my house. And I ended up at the Gagliotti household, where Joey tried to fight me. I think that first time. And Joey was in high school, and he's like, "You look younger than me." And that led to many of different rendezvous at Duffer's Bar. And at the time, I wasn't drinking, so Mario made me the designated driver. Until one time, we found ourselves at Brock's house, and Mario went missing, and I ended up walking from Brock's house to. I remember that. And thank God Joey was at home, because it was like a blizzard outside, and as a kid from LA in skater shoes with no socks, I found myself trudging through the Arctic tundra of Glen Mills to the back porch of a canine snarling at me at 2 a.m. And thank God Joey saved my life, not Mario, who had left the party with some unknown persons of interest, who we find out later the next morning were up to no good. But Mario, was story after story. Couldn't be prouder of you. Congratulations. We'll save the real stories for tonight with tequila and cigars. Tosh.
Thank you.
Good stuff. All right. So after completing Valley Forge, Mario gets an amazing offer by an SF major to join Army ROTC and receive a full scholarship to UNC Chapel Hill. At the mere age of 20 years old, both Kevin and Mario navigate themselves to finish their undergraduate degree and enlist in the Army. Here's where Mario earns his prestigious Peace and War degree. That's true. So after graduation in 2003, Mario heads to the Military Intelligence Officer Basic Course in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, before being stationed at Fort Drum, New York, assigned to the 10th Mountain Division. With the Iraq War already underway, it doesn't take long before Mario is finding himself in a combat zone. In 2005, Mario finds himself as the Battalion S2 intelligence officer in Baghdad, Iraq, fighting Al-Qaeda. As luck would have it, during a second rotation in 2007, Mario's childhood best friend, Colin, having recently transferred from the United States Marine Corps and already having one combat tour in Iraq, is assigned to, coincidentally, his same organization as a platoon leader within the same battalion. Mario gets the opportunity to work alongside his best friend, planning missions to defeat many of the terrorist cells responsible for targeting and killing American soldiers and allies. After Mario's 2.5 years deployed to Iraq, he returns to Fort Drum, New York, and he doesn't remain there long before heading back to Fort Huachuca to complete the MI Captain's Career Course, the same school I just returned to over the last summer. So if we can use that as a gauge of his officer career compared to mine, he's still earlier yet in his officer career. I'll bring up Colin here to bring up any, for talk on Mario's time during his time here in Iraq and his long best friends from good old Garnet Valley High School.
We have other alumni.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to save Mario from the high school days, except to say why others were sneaking out to smoke weed or do drugs. Mario and I were cutting for lunch to go run, and work out and everything. So Mario was getting ready to head off to both, North Carolina or Valley Forge, and before that when he was going to go be a motor T sergeant or whatever. So we used to leave during lunch period, go run, and then while he was down in North Carolina, I was in the Marines, so we were keeping each other abreast of what was going on. And then, as luck would have it, he was getting ready to deploy to Iraq during the, initial stage of the surge, and then kind of tipped me over the edge to come into the Army as an infantry officer. And then, so during Mario's first deployment, if you think about, shoving your hand out of a fishbowl, we were trying to get all the insurgents and, all the terrorists out of Mosul area. And then the second deployment, Mario ended up helping me come up to 10th Mountain. I was at Ranger School. Mario got Colonel Vanek, his battalion commander, his boss, to pull some strings and get me up there. And so as a narcoleptic post-Ranger School brand new second lieutenant, I showed up tired as heck and slept on Mario's couch for about the first month before we deployed, right above Goodfellas, or was it Goodfellas or Five Guys? Yeah, so we ended up spending 15 fun-filled months together fighting insurgents nightly in Iraq. If you can believe it, Mario was the brains of the operation, and then I was, which I know nobody can believe, but I was the brunt Neanderthal knuckle dragger out, hitting whatever targets Mario found. And pretty incredible work, whether he's working with Joint Special Operations Command, JSOC, coordinating targets. We were going out with Tier 1 units, hitting targets, based on stuff that Mario had found, and worked with them. When I went to the Ranger Regiment, a lot of them, recognized and were asking about Mario. So it kind of speaks to the depth of his character and, his, in all seriousness, his capabilities that, they were asking about him and what he was up to, in special operations coming from a regular Army unit. So lots to do, but, he contributed significantly and, kind of set the cornerstone for the rest of his career with those successes that he had there. So it was a good 15 months, and then luckily my future wife, Jessica, came and picked up a narcoleptic, chain-smoking Mario from some of his personal doldrums. If you remember, he broke up with his fiance during the deployment, who introduced me to my wife Jessica. So Mario took up chain smoking his last month in theater, as we were literally the last two people out of our 15-month deployment to land at a snowy 4 feet of snow Fort Drum in the fall of 2008. So good times, Mario.
So in Huachuca, Mario gets to train for an assessment and selection course to one of the most prestigious special mission units in the Army. Kevin, again, becomes a training partner for Mario, as pictures and stories will tell about how they evaded being picked up for backpacking illegal immigrants along the U.S.-Mexico border during the time.
What I left out of that is we got attacked by coyotes in the middle of the night. and he pulled out his knife, and he got really close to me. He's like, Kev, we'll stab the coyotes. And I'm like, they're just coyotes. Just let it be. So that was our training.
The same type of coyote you was shooting the other week.
So yes, Kevin, you were an integral part to Mario's train up for this course. And so Mario's accepted to join a training course where I meet, along with some of our other good friends, Adam Cave, Chris Bickle, and Benjamin Smith, who couldn't be here today. Although things don't work out as planned or to Mario's preference, our courtship is probably the best thing that came from the situation, and I'm grateful every day for it. So without further ado, Adam.
Thanks, Tasha. So I first met Mario in the fall of 2009 when we were at selection. And like immediately he was one of these guys that just like really good natured guy, somebody you want to hang out with. And you know, like I sensed that he was really good. I'm also from PA, so maybe that's what drew us together. Like I'm not biased, but they are generally the best people in the country. So Mario and I hung out a lot. We ended up going through a bunch of stuff together throughout selection. Some stuff that I can't really share here, but lots of good memories. And then we ended up both making it through. Surprisingly, I guess they just didn't tell us to go home. And we ended up coming over to follow-on course where we met Tasha. I used to tease Mario and Tasha a lot that they were going to end up getting married one day. I'm right. So, but throughout that time in that course, we spent a lot of time together. One of the things outside of Mario being just really good natured is the fact that a lot of tenacity, right? You know, he's like what you were mentioning, Colin, about him like being sought after for tackling some of those hard problems. He just is always really focused on how do I solve this problem? How do I move forward, right? And you notice that throughout the whole time. But one of my favorite stories from that course is where that didn't quite work out as planned. We were out in the mountains and we were doing some land nav course, and Mario and I got stuck on a night team together. And Mario's okay at land nav, right? He's probably pretty good. And I feel pretty comfortable with land nav, and so that was night iteration, and we had 3 hours to find 5 points. And if you know anything about land nav in the Army, right, you got to find the first point to get coordinates for the second point. So we go out for the first point, which seems pretty close. I think it was like within a click and 1 kilometer, and we can't find the point. An hour and a half later, we're still walking around trying to find this point. And I mean, we're both exhausted. It wasn't a fun ruck event. We were supposed to find all this stuff, and we were carrying pretty heavy bags. So at one point, we just like couldn't do anything anymore. So we sat down, and Mario pulled out a pack of cigarettes, and we just started smoking cigarettes. I don't even smoke, and then Mario came up with this plan. Hey, let's move forward. Let's go and try these other techniques to try and find the point. Well, we never found the point, but we did have a great time. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Watch your foot. There you go. Close. We did have a great time, and I ended up going back to that course as cadre and realized why we never found it, because it was in this cusp of rocks, which was like Stonehenge, and you had to be within 3 meters of it to see the chemlite. So it wasn't our fault. I'm pretty sure they were playing tricks on us. But Mario, I know everyone here can say the same thing, right? He's like the consummate best friend, right? He's somebody who will always have your back. He's somebody who will give you the shirt off of his back if you need it, and he just gets after hard problems. That's what Mario does. So I know that's those same qualities I've tried to live up to. He's a kind of a role model of mine for that, and I know that helped him be really successful in the rest of his military career. So thanks, Mario. Really appreciate spending the time with. I can't believe you're retiring already. Maybe another 5 years, right? But yeah, it was great serving with you. So thank you.
Thanks for having me here, guys. Adam, that land out course, the maps were wrong. The next night, Mario and I both fell off cliffs in the darkness. These are really great moments to roast people and say funny things that are deprecating. Man, I'm just not good at that. But whenever I think about Mario, man, I think about the course and like you as a person. The worst person you can work with in the military, which is not Mario. In the military, we all find ourselves in these situations that are untenable. They're difficult, they're painful, you're cold, you're wet, you're tired, you're hungry, you're all of those things. You're falling off of cliffs and not finding points. And the worst person to work with in those moments is the person who can't stop talking about how bad it is. Mario's the other guy. Mario's the guy who is the human embodiment of a cheerleader and a supporter, nothing but positivity. He's not the life of the party, he's the life of everything he touches. And that was always something that I really took to heart, really propelled me forward in my own career, thinking about the best way to approach things. And man, it's just an honor to know you.
an honor to be here. I know you're going to succeed at anything you put your hand to. And the smartest thing you ever did was marry Tasha. And I love you guys. Good luck, brother.
Thank you so much. So out of this, Mario gets the opportunity to pick up a troop command position in the adjacent unit in the military district of Washington area. And so many people think I was crazy to transition to become an officer with over 12 years of prior service, knowing that I would need to grade through the remaining years of my military service as a junior officer until retirement. But good old CW3 Debbie Black, also previously First Sergeant Black, was a part of the command team that became notorious for tracking Lieutenant General Stanley McChrystal during a training exercise in Baltimore City. So, Debbie, if you come up here and say a few words about being Mario's right-hand man, his first sergeant, while he assumed troop command.
I've had a lot to drink.
Yes!
Let's get truthful. Where's mom and dad? You have an amazing son. This isn't really for him. This is for you and for Tasha. You know, he knows what he's done. We know what he's done, but you made an incredible son. And if some of that happened on his own after, I will give him a little credit, but I think most of the credit goes to you guys. I made a couple notes just to make sure I hit all the kind of the high points. So when I got the Warno op order, annexes, IPR schedule from Tasha on how this was going to go, I've been aggressively ignoring, the emails and the reminders because I know it stresses her, and I think that's kind of funny. I was super excited because I'm a introverted extrovert, which means that I appreciate the invite, but I'm probably not going to show up. So this I was going to make time for. So Mario was my captain as a first sergeant, which is you get to make a command team and you both kind of go through those pains together and figure out your mistakes and try to make your unit better and survive each other. And it was amazing, if very brief time together. I also got to meet Tasha at the same point, and no lie there initially, we didn't know each other real well. I thought maybe she lost a bet. I wasn't sure why, but it makes more sense, after the year. So Mario got to our unit in 2011, and it was a time of pretty significant change. So he was doing some very base level work, foundational work that has to be done for future success down the road. And he got in with, just started working. And, part of that, like I say, they paired him up with the most senior and wisest NCO that we had available, which was me. And it was an amazing time. I cherish that time. I think back, I laugh about it. Sometimes I cry about it in the car, but mostly I laugh about it, And we were pretty successful. He, like Tasha kind of alluded to, Mario envisioned and then went out and executed this really grandiose training exercise. It's just a training exercise that they no lie were bringing up again last week. It came up again last week. And it brought in some very high-level general officers, and it was really broad in scale, and we don't get to go into the nuts and bolts of it, but it was pretty amazing in the execution of it. Briefed really well. Still briefs well. We're still getting mileage out of that, so that was kind of cool. I think all in all, he took my advice as he should have, and he was. I'm getting to that. Don't. Yeah. And he was pretty successful. I was a little worried about Mario, long term about his career arc, because he's got some bad qualities. He's smarter than most of the people around him, and he works harder than most of the people around him, and he has a hard time of not telling people what he thinks, which all in all can sometimes not necessarily set you up for a road to success. So I was worried about that because that can create some jealousy within the peer group, and I was worried about that because I had to find another gear to keep up with you. When you got there, you just took off, and it was like, yeah, I've got to get more sleep and do more PT because this captain's killing me. But all in all, like I say, he took my advice. There were some things I didn't think I needed to advise you about. Finding a day-old ham sandwich in your car, in the Maryland heat, don't eat that. Don't eat that. You don't think you have to tell them that, but you need to tell your captains that. My wife loved the story. Said, like, you won't believe what my captain did today. You know, riding around on the motorcycle without a helmet in your flip-flops. Not a good idea. You can't tell the troops that. We can't, you know. And then, you know, like Tasha alluded to, probably the only time that you didn't take my advice was that Swift motorcycle. I don't know what you were thinking. You had a perfectly good Harley, and you traded it in for that Swift piece of crap. It was this massive engine on this Swift motorcycle. It was like 120 cubic inch. Had this little peanut tank. He ran out of gas like every 5 minutes. Thank God I live in Howard County. He would have been calling me. He was calling people all the time, running out of gas on the side of the road with his motorcycle. So I think you finally got rid of it.
It's on her finger right now.
Oh, there it is, right up. Right. Much better call. Much better call. Make sure I'm not missing anything there. Yeah, I think the only thing is just the family dynamic. I think you guys are leaving money on the table. There's a reality show here. I think you need to pursue that. I would watch an episode or two of this, I'm sure, day in, day out. But congratulations on unemployment. I'm excited for you. I don't know what comes next, but yeah, I'm super excited. You're going to still be in the area so we can watch and see. You know, we tend to refer to these things in the military as happy funerals, you know, because they're leaving that community, they're moving on to the next portion of their lives, but this is the best of both worlds because you're going to be here. We're still going to be able to interact, so I'm excited. Thanks for letting me speak.
Well done. So after Mario finishes up his time in command with Debbie, he seeks out an opportunity to remain in the area, naturally due to me, and support an expeditionary deployment. Of all places, Mario goes to Ethiopia. For 1 year, this begins Mario and mine's long-distance relationship, where I am still in awe about how impactful you are to the people that you served during that rotation. And one of those people that's here today is Dan Soames. If Dan Soames had used the bathroom when we came around, that's fantastic, great. I thought you were eluding me, but Dan?
All right.
I don't know if I need to turn the volume up.
How do I do this? I was enlisted, so I'm not smart.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to drill from my mouth. All right, so I'm gonna keep this quick because I was enlisted and I'm not smart. So Mario's the first officer. You guys are all officers, right? So let me apologize now. All right, good. You're the first officer. I was like, oh man, they're not all pencil pushing jerks. These kids, sorry. But he also showed me something that I didn't know was possible: how to legally, probably immorally, profit from the government in every way possible. Loopholes in taxes, using some kind of funds to build your own personal gym. That was a good gym. We're gonna sneak off the stations for 5 days. Shh, don't tell anybody back home. So he actually reinstilled my faith in officers, and then I PCS'd and it all went away again. But and then as we go down the timeline, he really showed me not to show faith in officers, since I had to work for him again, which Chuck will speak on that. But he showed me that, like, not only can you do your job, you can plan how to put in a retaining wall in your backyard, how to build a patio, how to do all these things without ever taking leave. Hence why he had 4 months of terminal leave. Or, oh man, we close contact COVID. I can't go to work for a week. Let's go hunting. Okay. So, but everything was legal, above the books. So, thank you for teaching me that, buddy. I appreciate it. There we go.
Good job. So after a year in Ethiopia with Dan and some other select few, Mario needs to complete his advanced schooling and master's degree after recently promoting to major. At this point, I decided to leave my organization, finish my college degree, and transition as an officer, a 2.5-year commitment. In my attempt to follow Mario along his 1-year master's degree, we almost find ourselves separated again. But luckily, Mario was able to stabilize during his 12-month master's program at National Intelligence University before having a PCS and drag me back to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Mario completes his key developmental, or those that consider KD positions while at Bragg, to include Battalion XO of the Special Forces MI Battalion. But more special to his time at Bragg is that 3rd Special Forces Group. Mario completes 2nd Command in the Group Special Support Battalion before transitioning to serve as the Group S2, a brigade senior level intelligence officer, where he meets Tyler Johnson, one of the Battalion S2 officers, who's not walking fast enough to come up here. But coincidentally is now living in Philadelphia, and luckily to have him here today after his long tour. Tyler? I gotcha.
Thank you.
He enjoys voting.
I do, yeah. So I met Mario in late 2014, I think, is when you got there. And that's when you were still driving that old car that smelled like crayons, that old blue car. That old one, yeah. And you eventually traded that up. But one of my favorite memories when you first got there, so we were both in the 3rd Special Forces Group together, and I was there maybe a month before you got there. And we were trying to figure out all of these new terms from Special Forces. And I mean, the acronyms, the units, everything was so confusing to us. And we whiteboarded this whole thing out for like a month. And every term that we would learn brought up 3 new ones. And I don't think we ever actually figured out how Special Forces works. But it was a pretty inauspicious start for 2 intelligence officers in that unit. But we finally made it through. And it started a really great friendship that I'm so thankful for. And whether over the years that was going and taking the boat out, and on the 4th of July in the middle of COVID, which was the worst time to go with 1,000 people on, what lake was that? Some lake, river, Chesapeake Bay, yeah. Or same thing, going over to your house and you promising to take me out on the boat, but we have to do landscaping work at the new place. And brainstorm. Yeah, and we had to brainstorm on how many fountains you could fit inside this front yard. To just spending a lot of time together. It was really great, and I'm really thankful. But my favorite memory, I think, of our whole time together, and what I learned the most from you, was you always said that you were one day closer to retirement. Do you remember this? Every time something poor went wrong, every time something was challenging or bureaucracy was frustrating in the military, or we were waking up at 4 a.m. to jump out of helicopters, or any of those things, and I'd say, how do you feel about this? Mario would say, it's one day closer to retirement. We're one day there. And you didn't even really say it as a joke. You really meant it. Like, we're just getting through it, right? And so I feel like that's such a fitting memory for today, on the day. And from 2014 to 2023, you made it through all the days, Mario. And you finally counted it down. So congratulations on finishing all of the days. And good luck restarting that count for your next one. Thanks.
So for those of you that know how analytical and deliberate Mario can be, he wastes no time to implement an idea or plan. So back to Maryland, we went to set the stage for both our retirements, or so we thought. And Mario enters another selective training program, achieving specialized human intelligence training, survival training, where he meets another group of very special people who continue to be like family to us today. So Al, would you please come up here? I'd love for you and Dave. Yeah, let's come up here. Yeah, Al, yeah. Alvarez, en español, Alvarez, por favor. Rápido. There's limoncello shots too, if you guys need to recharge your glasses. We're almost done.
Absolutely don't need any more drinks. I don't know, you want to do that thing? Where's it going right here? Turn this up. Oh, I broke it. There you go. We're going to hold this just like this.
Joey, what kind of stuff are you buying?
There you go. Ready? Go ahead.
Hey, so good afternoon, everyone. I obviously, myself, and I think some of our group here, we don't know Mario nearly as well or as long as half of you here do.
Son of a bitch broke it.
Look, yeah, I told you I broke it. That's too many drinks. It's that wine. So I've known Mario since 2017. My name's Al, and I'll start with this. I'm a big believer that birds of a feather flock together. I got to meet Colin back here in 2011, I believe, on a deployment to some nasty place. Immediately, with his team and himself, hit it off. And when I met Mario, I was like, who does this guy remind me of? And it's funny, that's exactly who it was. Lo and behold, I see him walk in here again, and Mario and I forgot, like, oh yeah, we talked about this. We know the same person. So Tasha told me to be nice. That's not me. And it's funny to find myself up here. My last name's Alvarez. I don't look it. I'm Cuban. I thought Mario made friends with me because he thought I knew someone who could help him with construction in his house. It worked out that he actually took a liking to me, so I'm blessed. So please, hey, take everything with a grain of salt that I'm about to say here. So there's something called an acrostic poem. We all had to do it growing up in school, where you had to get your name and say, for M for Mario stands for marvelous, and so on and so forth. So I came up with a little one here for Mario. So M for magnanimous. Mario's. You say that. He's built like the most athletic meatball I've ever seen. So yeah, just off the top, huh? So Mario, magnanimous. M for magnanimous. Generous or forgiving, especially towards, a rival or someone, lesser than him. In Mario's case, thankfully for him, everyone's lesser than him in his eyes. A for approachable. Mario's someone you turn to. Unless he has a marathon that's blocking his front door, that he can't come help you move, or he has a renovation project going on, or something else.
It's a real thing.
Sure it was. Every time I ask Mario, hey, can you help me move? He's like, there's like a 10K in front of my front door here. R for receptive. Mario is absolutely willing to consider new suggestions and ideas. Willing to consider them, not necessarily accept them, especially if his suggestion is better. I for influential, having great influence on someone or something. Mario is super influential, especially if he needs you to move around some barrels of dirt, heavy stones, or help in some way to do some remodeling project in his home. And then O for obvious, as in, obviously I'm joking, Mario is honestly a great leader, a great friend. I'm glad to have known him for the last 6, going on 7 years here. Thankful to you, your family, for accepting my wife, my kids as one of y'all's, and good luck to you and Godspeed to you in the future, buddy.
Thank you.
You pull that off, I'm going to break it. Whoa.
Dave?
All right.
I gotcha. Yep, you gotcha.
I've been drinking. I got pizza sauce all over me, or spaghetti sauce, which reminds me when I met Mario. Since we've been friends for over 2 hours, I can tell you a deep secret about myself. I'm originally from New Jersey, and I heard a twang, and I was like, I know that twang, and that's that Philly Jersey thing. And we became friends in the unit, and it's just been a great run with you. It was mentioned earlier that you are the officer that I think all officers should aspire to be. You didn't care about your KD time. You didn't care about, I got to do this to make the next rank. I got to do this to make myself look good, optics, to hire vignettes. You cared about the troops, the guys, and that's how you got through the ranks, because you cared and you did those things for us. You said some very unpopular things to command, and it needed to be said. And I think if every officer would emulate you, that should be their career path, is to take care of their people, and they're going to take care of you, and you're going to get through the ranks. Now, on the more lighter side, it seems to be a reoccurring theme about carrying heavy stuff. Mario and Tasha both convinced me, with that whole city thing. My dad's from Philly, like, hey, you should move to Baltimore. So I moved to Baltimore, and then they left. So now I got to put up with Foxtrot and all the, cars getting broken into and all that stuff. And I will never forgive you for any of that. But during that time, we did have a wonderful time, especially during COVID. We had COVID Friday nights. Adam was staying at my house during the time, and we would go over. And you may not know that Tasha knows every single lyric to every 90s and 2000s rap song, as does Adam. And so if it's baller shot caller, 20-inch blades on the Impala collars, get something tonight, switch it real tight, get a spray bike. We did all that in the kitchen at Mario and Tasha's house. And I just want to thank you, not only for your leadership and your mentorships as an officer, but also as a friend, as we, through many different units here, went through some difficult times with loss. And you and Tasha, and you were always there with us for those times. And I just want to thank you, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thanks. Don't worry, we're nearing towards the end. 24 years, we're getting there. So our final chapter before Mario turns into his request to retire is NSA. So as Lieutenant Colonel now, Mario is eligible for a selective joint assignment and finds himself in an office with, as luck would have it, Dan Soames again. During his 3 years, Mario's hard-charging attitude lends itself to move initiatives along previously stuck in federal bureaucratic staffing during COVID-19, minimal manning, and he's moved to serve as a section chief along with a wonderful group of folks, Mumtaz, Corey, who had to leave a little bit early, Dan, and Chuck.
Good job.
There you go.
I feel like I've heard all of these stories already. Every single one of them I can relate to. So I had the pleasure to work with Mario for about 3 years, and on his first day, he had the honor of telling me I did not get promoted, in which I laid out a string of cuss words and stormed out of there and didn't show up for 2 days. And I can remember the look on Mario's face like, what the hell have I got myself into? And I just want to say sorry. I apologize 100%. But we had a lot of great times, and Mario came in and he has great energy. When you're kind of beat down by the bureaucracy of the government, and Mario has that energy like, we're going to go, full speed ahead until somebody yells at us and tells us no and has us stop. And so we got a lot of things done, a lot of things accomplished. It was very cool. But they weren't always good times. I remember when Tasha was deployed, where she was in school in Arizona, Mario received a phone call, and his voice got really quiet, and he turns around, and he looks at me and goes, I lost Tasha's breast milk. So being his partner in crime, I'm like, do I know any wet nurses? Can we get breast milk on Amazon? So my wheels were just churning. What are we gonna do? Luckily, Mario came across the breast milk. We were able to save part of it, so it wasn't a total loss. But yeah, I was there during when he was gone and he was being a single parent, and I seen his struggles every day. And as he's like, Chuck, I'm gonna have to be off again today. I have a sick kid, or I have to go here, I have to go there, or I have a contractor coming in, and this staircase is not going to build itself. Never submitted a DA 31. All kidding aside, when Mario came there, you really don't know when you have somebody new come in what the chemistry is going to be and how it's going to turn out. And as a bunch of civilians and an 05 coming in, you're like, this is going to be bad. They're going to change. They want to change everything. But Mario was a breath of fresh air. He came in, like I said, with that energy. He's very open. He's not the most people person. He's not the, hey, come in for a hug kind of guy, but he is very caring about his people and making sure everybody gets recognized. And that was really refreshing. And I really appreciated that attitude you brought to us. So salute, man. It's been a great time. The time I spent with you, Mumtaz, Dan, and Corey, by far the best experience of my 35 years in the workforce. I love you, man. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, sir.
I'm leaving soon anyway.
I got you. You just talk.
Yeah. All right. You might have noticed I'm a foreigner with my red tunas and everything. But Mario loves red tunas. Every single time I wore these tunas at work, he called me different names, which I'm not going to repeat here. But anyway. Yeah. What could I say? I mean, everybody talked about Mario being a loyal, great son, great husband, and I still have to witness those things yet. So, but I've only known him for about 18 months, so still plenty of time to get to know him and stuff like that. But I've only known Tasha for twice. We met twice. I know which one I'm going to stay in touch with. So, but no, kidding aside, Maury, it's good to have a leader who's going to open to ideas and open to suggestions and stuff like that. And as Chuck mentioned, we all had great time. And since you have left, it's been a downer. And it's not that many jokes, not people falling asleep where we have to wake them up, or But you've been a great leader, a great friend, and coming from the UK, as Chuck mentioned, you never know what you're going to get. But I think I got dealt a very good hand, and it's been great knowing you. And I hope you'll come and visit. Sorry we didn't get to travel back to the UK. I think I would have seen the best side of you abroad with me in some sort of British pub. But please stay in touch. Come and visit anytime you. Consider me your brother. You always have a home back in the UK.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you.
And so what's not here is actually his section. You know, it's pretty customary in the military for your last assignment to get a retirement gift. And this lovely team, you guys far blew me out of the water because I did not agree to buy anything on his wish list since it's nothing above or below $1,000. But you guys got him a wonderful gun. I don't even know what kind it was. Phenomenal, engraved, the whole 9 yards. So.
Don't matter, it could hit anyway.
So thank you to all you guys for a wonderful gift that's on here today. But we did. Hold on, honey. We're almost at the end. Okay. So Mario puts in his retirement paperwork, and so, you know, even though he's assigned to this work center, we have his lovely first sergeant, conveniently also Dave Woods is his girlfriend, who's able to, you know, provide oversight of his packet to make sure it gets where it needs to be so that you could effectively retire despite all of the administrative changes. So, bro, would you please come up before we close this thing out to speak on being Mario's technically his command?
I know. That's all my fault.
Go ahead, bro.
Okay. Okay, so I am technically Mario's last first sergeant in the United States Army, and oh boy. He was probably one of the best soldiers in the company because even though he was one of the highest ranking we had, he was always like doing what he needed to do. And he never thought he was better than anybody else. Anytime I needed his teeth cleaned from a MedPro's stats in front of the brigade commander, his PT test, his height and weight, he was there in the right uniform at the right time, ready to do like everybody else, because he never thought he was better than anybody else. And that was key. And what you don't know is that junior soldiers were looking at you and said they wanted to be like you. And they would tell me that. They didn't tell you that. They told me that. You know why? Because as a lieutenant colonel, they thought it was pretty cool that even though you could have told me to kick rocks because you outranked everybody in the company, you were still humble. And they saw that, even when you didn't think they were looking. So thank you for being who you are. Thank you for being an outstanding leader, officer, and congratulations to you. Well deserved, and we love you so much, and I love you.
Sergeant.
Welcome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so that takes us to this moment. Mario served 24 years, 10 months, 17 days, with over 30 months of combat service, earning a Bronze Star, Combat Action Badge, amongst other achievement medals. He completed several professional development schools ranging from the Officer Basic Course through Command and General Staff College, Rangers School, earning him a master's degree in strategic intelligence. He served many roles to include platoon leader, battalion intelligence officer, executive officer, senior intelligence officer, troop commander, confidant, mentor, coach, friend, and peer. Each one of you today have made this day and made all of his assignments extremely special, and it's the people in Mario's career that he cherishes the most. And so thank you for coming and celebrating an amazing soldier, friends. Now I'm going to get teary-eyed. Son, nephew, brother, husband, father, and leader. We love you very much and very proud of you.
Thank you. Do I have to talk now?
If you want to. No, I got you.
All right.
Go ahead.
So I didn't prepare anything because I didn't know what was going on today. But so all I can really say is thank you to Tasha for everything that you've done, putting this together. And I know I've been extremely difficult to live with since I've been off doing nothing for the last 4 months. So thank you. A lot of people I've been to a lot of retirement parties, and a lot of people, actually everybody, they say the number one thing that you look back on your career is the people. Thanks for coming, bud. Is the people that you've been able to meet along the way. And man, I've been so blessed with everybody that's sitting here, everybody that I've met. You guys must have some really cool stories that maybe I'll recap on a couple of them. But Colin, so Chuck, Colin is the guy who I fell through the shitter with in Iraq. Colin took me out on a mission because I get cooped up sitting in the office, and I'd be like, Colin, can I come out on a mission? But I didn't get issued a rifle in Iraq. I only had a pistol. So Jamil, over there, my roommate, I'd have to borrow his rifle, and I would go out, and I would be like, so I wasn't out in the field all the time. I was just sitting in the office trying to find people. So I'd go walk 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers with Colin, and my helmet would be all fucked up, my nods all foggy, and we finally get to where we're going to stop, and I'm trying to fix all my gear, and the ground gives way beneath me, and I'm like, oh shit, but I'm so small, I couldn't hit the bottom. And Colin's interpreter's trying to pull me up, and then the whole ground just caved in, and it was an outhouse. We found out that's what it was an outhouse. And then, you hear the drone flying overhead, and so everybody in the talk is watching what happened to us. And the reason I was smoking in Iraq was not because I was depressed. It was because I had to build rapport with the police chief, and all he did was smoke. So I got in the habit of smoking, and I would actually be smoking in the talk, and it just pissed off everybody, including the sergeant major. And it became a nasty habit. I didn't break it until like 2010. Tasha, and we quit together. But yeah, bad habit, but it was brought on by trying to do the job, and actually worked out really well. Not that smoking solved the problem, but no, I mean, man, what a cool experience it is to go to war with your buddy from high school. A lot of stuff happens over the course of a war, but I remember specifically, tasking. Colin was out on the day before Christmas, right before his birthday, and I had requested double drones to watch over him on his birthday, so I made sure that he was not going to get bombed out on his birthday. So just to look after him. And to set this record straight on how we got him assigned was I told him to write a letter to the battalion commander. And I don't know where he went to college, but I had to proofread the shit out of that letter and rewrite it because it looked like a monkey wrote it with a crayon.
I didn't go to USC. Were you listening to?
But even before that, I mean, when it all started at Valley Forge, man, Kevin was right. I didn't care for Kevin. It was his voice. I had just gotten out of boot camp, and I didn't know anything about Valley Forge or what the school was. And Kevin knew everything about ROTC, and he wouldn't shut up in class. His hand be raised, and he had this squeaky little voice. I'm like, man, this kid is so friggin' annoying. But then he's right. He was just sitting on the fence at Valley Forge, looking like a lost puppy dog. I'm like, what are you doing? So I drug him home with me, and the rest is history. He's been a great friend ever since. He's one of my best friends. So thank you so much, man, for coming out and being a part of my life for the last 30 years. It's been great. He is a part of the family, and we do share lots of stories that we could talk about later tonight. But even that, man, and then so a lot of you guys know here that I have like the distinct privilege of being probably one of the only people that tried out for multiple special missions units and gotten kicked out of all of them. But no, so for the first one where I met Adam, Chris, and even Tasha, I trained very hard for that, and it was such an emotional event for me to get over that. But it taught me one of the most important things that I talked to Kevin about when I didn't make it through that course, because it was really hard for me to move on from that. And Kevin said to me, it's how we respond to what happens to us that really makes the difference, to help you move on and do things. But one of the greatest things that come out of that was my family. Tasha didn't tell this story, but like when I first met Tasha, we had to do combatives together, and she was wearing this like armored bra, and I don't know if she was knocking me unconscious or I was so happy, but she kept smashing my face into her chest. She beat me down with her armored bra. But if it wasn't for, and this is why part of me thinks like everything maybe happens for a reason. Like if it wasn't for that failure, we would never have had a family. I don't think it would never have worked out the way that it did, and I wouldn't have the 3 beautiful kids that I do now. So that failure was like one of probably the best blessings in disguise. And then after that, trying to find an assignment where I got to go to third group, and I met Tyler. And Tyler's right. Day one, Tyler was one of the people that looked right at me and was like, "Hey, how do we figure this out?" And let's sit down there and whiteboard it. And there was no like, "Hey, I'm the major, you're a captain." We would just like instantly clicked and like let's figure this shit out together. And it was great. And then I think then he just kind of abused me to get into SOC after that and went to school. And I didn't see him again for 6 months. But what a great experience it was working with you, man, and living with you for I don't know how long. It was awesome. So thanks for coming all this way. And then fast forward that to my time in the unit with you guys. I said when I left there the first time, W, we had such a great experience that I wanted to go back, and it was a wrong career move for me because I knew it would have been the end of my military career, and I would not have been able to get promoted. But I didn't really care because the best thing about that unit and the best thing about being in a unit with you guys was the people that worked there. And that's really what it comes down to is it was never about what I could do because I could never do anything. It was about what everybody around me could do and how could we work together to make it happen. And both being in the unit for whatever short amount of time it was with you guys and over in your unit, it was always the people that made working there the best thing, and it made me want to come back. So it kind of hurt a little bit more when you guys booted me out after the second time, but I made such great friends out of the unit that, stick with me. And Ro, she talks about, how I was, this omnipotent major or colonel that did everything he was supposed to do. What she forgot to tell you was that I forgot to wear my cover one day, and I asked her, I said, is the battalion commander here? And she's like, no. I'm like, well, then I'm the highest ranking person here. And I just proceeded to be out of uniform. But, no, man, what a great 20 years it's been. And, I have my parents to thank for letting me start on the journey. But, as, Tyler said, every day down is one day closer. But that was just something to say to get over the hard times, really, because I looked at a year in Ethiopia. I was like, hey, we just rocked it and had a great time for 1 year out of 20, and we just went to Seychelles and did everything. Obviously, there's the letter of the law and the rule of law. Nah, but what a great ride it's been, and it's all of you and so many others, some of which have passed away and aren't here anymore. That made it such an enjoyable time. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
So as you finish up your dessert, your limoncello, whatever drinks that you need, please don't forget to take a wonderful glass. Those of you that are Navy, sorry. And then if you don't, like I said, if you hadn't a chance to sign the board, please do that, or the paper rather, so we can kind of keep that as a memento really for our kids and less for you, Mario. So thank you again so much. And thanks, Joey, for being wonderful AV support.